Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today's spawned in the south corner of the map. Playing in blue, we got Valdemar, playing as the Byzantines. And his opponent in the north, playing in red, we have got Marie-Jeanne d'Arc, playing as the, well, Jeanne d'Arc faction. Welcome everyone to Golden Pit, that's the map for today, and it's a great map for Age of Empires 4. Incredibly interesting. Now we do have two great civilizations battling it out. The Byzantines versus Jeanne. It's going to be an interesting matchup, especially on this map. Now, considering the map spawn, the gold veins is kind of an issue, something to consider and think about. Marie-Jeanne in the north got the back gold vein that can be pretty well walled off, just woodline to woodline. It'd be very nice, safe and secure. The other gold, which is the primary one, is relatively close by. Even the board, take a look at that positioning on that board, absolutely fantastic. It's actually going to rely on that food source right off the bat, and why not? Jeanne, that's going to be great timing on that tech up, I suspect, because how fast the boar meat comes in, does have to invest in an early mill, but that can often be done anyway in the build order for Jeanne d'Arc when they do look to get a wheelbarrow nice and early. Either way, down in the south, in blue, Valdemar playing the Byzantines. I think it's a fan favourite. Such a great civilization in many ways, especially since the recent buffs. It's been looking good. Crackety here with the raid. Thank you. Just fired up the stream. Thank you so much for hopping in. Hope you had a good show. I saw you doing some team games at the end of there. Hope you had some good games. And we're going to be casting Valdemar versus Jeanne. Marie-Jeanne, that is. Now, just a heads up, by the way, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you do, if you enjoy watching Twitch streams, especially Byzantines, you're going to want to watch Crackety here. Make sure you drop a hello at some point, because he does stream quite frequently and regularly. I'll leave a link in the video description where you can catch him. And same with Valdemar, although actually recently Valdemar's been a bit AFK in terms of Twitch streams. We kind of miss him a little bit. But what we won't miss, or what Valdemar won't miss, are the French Royal Knights coming across the map relatively soon, I suspect. Although, going out to boar, it was a bit of a walking distance, so, the time that it takes to gather the meat, the food, the walking distance has to be taken into consideration, but obviously the boar is probably the fastest source of food you can get on this map at this moment. Obviously no water to be had. Going to be the Grand Winery, the choice for Valdemar. Very typical choice for this particular matchup. Gives you extra 60% olive oil on the berries when you take them. That's going to be great for the mercenaries. Unlikely to be coming out pretty soon. Early in the feudal age. Now, the reason why I like this matchup, you've got the obvious feudal age aggression from Jeanne d'Arc, but the Byzantines, we've seen them play a little bit differently since the most recent patch. They get a 10% boosting on the villager gather rate, which actually makes their extended feudal age not too shabby at all, because if they do commit to a feudal age, obviously they've got a great economy behind it, and actually, in many ways, a much better economy than Jeanne. Obviously, no real eco bonus at this stage of the game. That can change a little bit, of course, with the consecration coming out on the buildings and the structures, making the cost of production a little bit cheaper. But ultimately, the eco bonus for the Byzantines is right from the get-go. And it's going to be opening up with the barracks. No real surprises. Limited ain't going to be a nice option to try and distract those cavalry units, push away the French Royal Knights, and just stop them from doing too much damage. One thing to consider, though, going out into berries and is pretty exposed, so the knights will look to try and stop that olive oil income coming in. We have to see how many sheep he's got. We've got a couple in the bag, not too many. Probably expecting to get a bit more. How's it going, Fareed? Hope you're doing well in Twitch chat. Welcome, guys, from Crackety here stream. Scout round the back there from Marie-Jeanne just to find out exactly what Valdemar's up to, and we'll notice the barracks, which is kind of expected anyway. Now that a few ages in, going to be getting the hardened upgrade for the limit tonight, just to get ready. School cavalry still being built by Jeanne on her own. I know actually there's two villagers there lurking on the side there, so it'll be coming up now. In fact, there's 5 of them apparently. Must have added a couple there. Wheelbarrow coming in at the same time. So eco going to be rocking and rolling for Marie-Jeanne. And there is that right knight queued up. Going to be heading across the map relatively soon, I suspect. Second cistern built. I'm going to be connecting that up now, Valdemar. Going to give him an additional 4% gather rate on the villagers, but also increasing the production speed of the, whatever production buildings he has at the moment. It's just a barracks. And it's going to be doing quite nicely with the conscriptio. It's a really nice kind of additional bonus for the cistern, the way it works. You get the eco boosted up, but you also get the production boosted up to go alongside it. Now, one thing to consider that the Byzantines, when they do get to the castle age, they can have that water level quite high, and it does mean that as time goes on, the economy starts to really scale up quite nicely. Marie-Jeanne will have to do something about it. Looks like going to go for a second town centre, which is an interesting play. You know, we used to see a lot of French civilization enjoyers go for a second town centre, but they obviously had faster working town centres, so their economy were rocking and rolling in that regard. But for Jeanne d'Arc, we've seen a couple of players do the same now. It does mean it's likely to be an extended feudal, which, you know, knight civilizations like Jeanne d'Arc can do pretty well with. So you have a nice premium unit to work with. Outpost going on the wood line, and you know, the wood line could actually be walled up there to really deny a safe passageway through. This is a pretty short way to wall as well. And there is deer camp and berries to be taken, although only 3 deer there. But this berries will be pretty safe with a bit of palisade wall investment. If Valdemar sees that being an option, obviously you need to get priority on units first, just to protect the resources that he's already on, being wood and gold. Now behind this, an archery range is being added there by Marie-Jeanne, going for that typical army choice, cavalry and archers behind it. Oh, snapping at one of the sheep there. The Mitt and I get a stay on the berries just to make sure they get the nice bit of food and olive oil. Bear in mind, Jeanne d'Arc has gone for the woman-at-arms, so no divine arrow coming in. She's going to charge right on in, and Limit and I backing off. Same with the villagers. Does get one hit. Holy Wrath ability comes up, but doesn't quite land there on that occasion. Valdemar keeping his units safe, so now he's probably going to transition onto sheep, considering the berries are kind of being pushed a little bit. Dropping down the mercenary house now. The question is, what mercenary contract will he be going for? It's quite possible going for longbows. Could be a decimating combination. Longbows and Limitanai. The extra range of the longbows could be pretty helpful. But decent number of Limitanai, I don't think the knight can really engage with that. It's going to engage with Holy Wrath with Jeanne. Does get a hit on that. So it does take a decent amount of HP off those Limitanai. But now having to back away. The numbers looking good here for the Byzantines. And the second TC going on the deer camp and the berries on the back of the base in a nice location. Going to be getting plenty of food, which is exactly what Jeanne needs at this stage of the game. Going to be mixing in a couple of archers as well. And mercenary contract-wise, it will be the Silk Road. So we'll get actually access rather to the javelin throwers. So it's going to be Limited and javelin throwers. And javelin throwers will obviously do pretty well against the archers that were coming out for the Jeanne d'Arc faction. Again, that's a really nice, powerful army combination. It's something that actually we've seen Beastie do in a recent couple of games I've casted. Really does like that combination. A powerful one for sure. Now, I'm going to commit to an outpost on the berries. Just keep this area secure. Wants to get hold of the berries, of course. And be able to afford some mercenaries. It's going to go for a bit of a shorter wall. Jeanne, though, looking to try and deny that. Got to be careful. The Midnight are getting in position, but Jeanne could get on top of that villager if she's paying attention. No, she's not. She's going to move on in. Oh, Holy Wrath comes out on the limit tonight once again. Yeah, go for those walls. Jeanne needs to be careful though. She's not super tanky at this stage. At level 2. Have to back away for now. Going for a heavy amount of villagers on gold. So Marie-Jeanne maybe looking to go to the car stage. I think that's maybe a bit of an overcommitment though. For 11 villagers? Holy moly. Looking to get all the upgrades they can get on the sun. Interestingly going for forestry. It's really maxing out on the feudal age upgrades. Expecting that, I guess it makes sense if you're expecting an extended feudal age. The earlier you get it, the better. But it does take quite a while for that to pay back for itself. Village is now starting to wall up. There's Jeanne healing herself up as well. Now with a couple of javelin throws, no, she will get a couple of hits on and then back away. The walls should safely go up. Outpost here, not garrison inside. Getting arrow slits, but not in time. Wait, the knight, hello. There we are. Knight pays attention now, but the outpost does have arrow slits. Charge comes in anyway. Should get one kill there, does. Manages to charge on out. Archer numbers starting to scale pretty nicely for Marie-Jeanne. Something Valdemar is going to need to build some units for. We'll have access to some javelin throws, but the question is whether Valdemar adds in another unit or not. Going around the right side now. Knight and Scout backing away. The unit numbers looking pretty decent for Valdemar. Of course, supplied by the good economy, but 2 town centers for Marie-Jeanne does mean that as time goes on, Marie-Jeanne should be in a good spot, at least economically. Just has to make sure it doesn't take any unfavorable fights and then can probably push on from there. Alright, I guess we're in a bit of downtime, so I'd like to say a very big thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel, whether it be on YouTube or Twitch. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you for watching the content if you've been enjoying it. I'm very glad to hear if you have. And a special shout out, of course, for the YouTube channel members and Twitch subscribers. Going the extra mile, of course. Speaking of going the extra mile, holy moly, these units are really starting to trickle in. So the 2-town centre now for Mariejeanne up and running. Looks like production going on as well. Interestingly, both players are itching towards that cast stage relatively soon. Javelin throw is getting some value on those archers. Archers backing away in the stealth forest. Scout backing away as well. Valdemar, I wonder if he feels confident pushing out. Leaving the limits and I back at home for now. But yeah, could be relatively similar timings on the tech up. Mariejeanne just needs a little bit more food. Okay, going to go up with the Golden Horn Tower, and it's going to be the Guild Hall for Jeanne d'Arc. No real surprises. I think, the Jeanne d'Arc can go for the Royal Institute at times, but we haven't seen it all that often. I think Guild Hall is just such a powerful landmark that it feels a bit bad to miss it out on that, especially if the game goes mid to late game. It's such a high value landmark for sure. Has got consecration on the town centre and the School of Cavalry, reducing the cost of the knights, or all the units here that cost food actually, in fact. Instead of 140 food, now costs 105 in the town centre, running at 37 food rather than 50. Golden Horn Tower about to go up. Going to give the Byzantines periodically mercenary usage. So going to get a couple more javelin throwers as time progresses. I wouldn't be surprised to see Valdemar extend the cistern network as well a little bit. It's kind of the time we expect to hopefully have level 3. We have to see, because it's kind of struggling on the stone and not really mining any of that. Incidentally, Mariejeanne is starting to move out now. Ever so slightly. Getting a siege workshop, interesting. Yeah, makes a lot of sense, right? Because you're against javelin throwers and donsos. Sorry, not donsos, Limitanai. You kind of want the siege to try and do a lot of damage. A couple of mangonels could be devastating. And I wonder whether Valdemar will look to get a siege camp of his own once he does see it. Or maybe even just get a couple of Varangian guards. Varangian guards or man-at-arms line at least. Can tank pretty well against mangonel fires. If they can get a wraparound or charge on in, it can take it out quick time, but if there's more than one or two, then it can become a problem. Here's the veterancy on the Limitanai. Now starts to move forward. Snipes out the sheep. No food for you there on that sheep. Snipes out a stray archer. Well, I say stray, but Mariejeanne probably left that archer there just for a bit of scouting, right? So he knows exactly when the enemy might be approaching. Adding some arbalistry here. Interesting choice, because we don't actually see any heavily armoured units just yet. Although, of course, with the potential with that, it does have a barracks, of course, so could expect to see some Varangian guards potentially. Committing to a second barracks as well. Walling up nicely here, but quite very much in the corner. I think it doesn't really matter in this scenario because, of course, Mariejeanne does have that back gold, which is really nice because it means there's a bit of a time before Mariejeanne has to go to the middle of the map. No real surprises or no real pressure to do so, really. The Byzantines, on the other hand, relying a lot more on olive oil, a little less reliant on gold. Especially on the late game. Again, gives them a little bit more of a breathing space before they have to push out in the middle. Looking to get the veterancy on these mercenaries. There's the first mangonel. Keeping it hidden for now. Just extending the walls ever so slightly. Those are awkward walls, aren't they? Holy moly. Walling up on the right side now. It could become a race to the relics, which I think Valdemar has a good map positioning for sure. Very advanced forward, so this relic is behind the army. So if there's something he wants to go for, could potentially do so. Outpost getting some decent value, but the limit, and I might use the shield wall ability just to tank a lot more against the ranged attacks that are coming on in. The Knight's diving on in. Mangonel did get a couple of fire, but it's kind of out of range now. Does get one more shot off, and the Mid and I back off just as well, because could be taking some big damage otherwise. Still pumping out units. 41 military versus 30. Valdemar. Yeah, the only concern for Valdemar, I've got to say, though, is that economy-wise, he's starting to fall a little bit behind. And sure, he does have the extra 14% gather out of the villagers, but even accounting for that, the second town centre for Jeanne has worked pretty well. I'm not so sure Valdemar actually knows about this. I don't think he does. It hasn't... Yeah, I'm not sure he's really got that scouted and noticed. Either way, if Valdemar can do some damage with the military advantage he's got at the moment, it could pose problems for Mariejeanne, but with 2 mangonels, that might prove a little bit difficult to do. Gambeson's coming in, as well as number preservation and the chivalry upgrade for the knight, so if they do get damaged, they can heal on up a little bit, although there's only a handful of them, but this one will definitely get great value. 9 HP on this guy, slowly climbing, of course. Couple of camel riders moving on in. Now we'll be getting access to camel unease because of that. It's lovely to see. Lovely use of the house, by the way. It gives extra vision because it does have the border settlement. Gonna give a massive line of sight. Let's just take a look at how good that is. It's a really good line of sight. Start to pick some of the relics. 1 deposited already. 2 more in the grasp, and looking to extend the vision there as well. Mariejeanne into the middle. The great thing for Valdemar is he's already got 1 in the bag, 2 in the clutches, and this one is very much safe for him as well. This one's the last one up for grabs, and he's going to get that one too. So gold income going to be pretty nice here for the Byzantines, and he could actually deposit in the Grand Winery. Yeah, he's going to get olive oil instead of gold, which is going to be nice for the mercenaries coming out. Military Academy coming up for Valdemar as well, just to increase the production speed. Now, if you can imagine that stacking upon the existing water level, which is now water level 3, that's going to be a 60% bonus on the production. Added Military Academy, going to be pumping out units very fast. Inadvertently activating the Sacred Site. But now we're heading to almost the 20-minute mark of the game, and both players might start to think about going to the middle, because take a look. Gold about to expire for Mariejeanne. And so, yeah, this is kind of the reason why the army starts to move forward to the middle, because both players know they're going to have to challenge for it a little bit very soon. Now, Arbaletier will do great against the Camel Riders. Mangonels need to deploy. Does have a couple of Springles as well, so Siege really working out here for Mariejeanne. And I think now Valdemar, because he spots the siege, probably going to be dropping a siege workshop. Needs to back away for now until he's got an answer to that. Doesn't really feel like he's got the right army for it just yet. I'm sure that will change. Now both players are starting to get a bit of stone. Mariejeanne more so than the Byzantines. I suspect maybe a keep play in the middle could be what's in order. There it is. It's already been put down in a very forward position, actually. Like, if that goes up, that does pose a problem for Valdemar. He's going to struggle to get gold in particularly easily. Going to get an outpost as well for extra vision, but has good control of this area. Going to commit to another barracks. It looks like it's going to be heavy Limitanite and a couple of ringing guards sprinkled on in. There's a Varangian guards, yeah, popping out soon. Massive villagers moving in the middle. Now, I would actually love to see the villagers mining this gold. I mean, it depends really how late the game's going to go, right? But if you can take the gold from your opponent here, which it really should belong to Valdemar, it can be a nice touch. Obviously, there's a bit more of a walking distance to get out of there. But he probably just wants to pump out units as quickly as possible. Holy moly, really going at it with the villagers. And kind of cool thing is that it didn't really commit that many villagers. It's kind of risky at times if you get pushed, but he's making it work and he should be fine now. Mangonels need to back away. Springles as well. The army going to go on through. Knights charging on through, but Limited and I do brace. Mangonel not actually deployed yet. Kind of caught out of position. That kind of hurts a little bit. Jeanne is involved. Does get up to level 3. Uses the Holy Restoration and the Holy Wrath ability. That's absolutely fantastic. Draws in Jeanne's riders. And fighting underneath here. The keep. Valdemar trying to get as much value as possible. Can't get on top of the Mangonel, which is a problem. Does use the Holy Wrath ability on the units. Trying to snipe out the Mangonel. Takes out the Springles first. Curious choice to go for the Springles first. But it's got a lot of melee units, and they're actually starting to break through. Ultimately, there isn't that much of a meat shield anymore, and well, the sheer number of army units here for Valdemar the Byzantines is going to pick off all this completely. Holy Wrath ability comes out once more, which certainly helps in the fight, but Mangonel goes down. One more remaining. And overall, great fight here for Valdemar. Got to say, a couple of man-at-arms sprinkled in there for Jeanne. But it's not going to be enough to hold, and all of a sudden, despite having a keep, fighting underneath the keep even, Valdemar wins that position with a couple of rams or a couple of siege engines. Could push that keep back. Going to have to place a defensive keep now, but this is going to be a difficult one. It's going to be a difficult one to get up. He's got a lot of villagers. Got a couple of units going on through. Doesn't have textiles, so if the Byzantines were to push that, I mean, he's a bit too late now. He just had to commit a lot of villagers building that, right? But it's kept a lot of idle time, so this is great for Valdemar in a way. But of course, he has the extra villagers to fight with anyway, or use anyway. Now, only 8 military units for Jeanne. It's going to be hard to scale that army back again. So bear in mind, despite the Jeanne having a better economy, that better economy at the moment is going to have to be fueling replenishing of the army that is just lost, rather than getting too much more of an advantage. Valdemar doing a lot of damage, making sure that the economy for Mariejeanne has to replace the army rather than just scale even further. Valdemar behind this, getting the sacred site and walling up as well, getting key areas of the map zoned off. He does actually have both sacred sites, so the sacred site timer has been activated. It could be a potential win condition. Now, the mobility should be pretty decent for Jeanne if she does continue getting knights, but now we're at the 20-minute mark. We're expecting the farming transition, and here it is. It's a very hard one for Jeanne. Look at that. I'll tell you what, that's a lot of olive groves. Valdemar's got the transition nice and early. And he's going to get a lot of mercenaries quickly because of the olive oil income. Keep still up there, of course. So, yeah, this is where Mariejeanne is going to try and absorb or take as much as gold as she possibly can. Or he or she. Who knows, really. I don't actually know this player. It's probably a Smurf account, or maybe just a change of name, to be honest. 2 mangonels again deploying. Valentine's will deny the wall. Suspect Valdemar wanted to send a couple more villagers. Let's see what Valdemar's cooking. Well, I'll tell you what, it's cooking up a great economy. 1,000 food per minute coming in. Almost 600 olive oil coming per minute. Does decap the West Sacred Site, just to reset that timer if it does come back on again. Now committing to a siege workshop. He wants more. Committing now to water level 4 soon enough, Valdemar. And the great thing about that is that it's going to increase both the village gather rate and of course the production, of which there is a lot in this area. Double siege workshop. Nothing actually actively producing from these just yet. Starting to mass up again. Does have 2 springords. And the great thing for the Byzantines is that despite being 30 villages behind, certainly the water level will help kind of bridge that gap. Also the production. Just take a look how quickly these things make. In Limitanite, 8 seconds. It's kind of bonkers. Ringing Guard, 12 seconds. Going around on the right side, has broken through with a couple of Ringing Guards using the Berserking ability. Going to get a couple of villagers here, it seems. Keeping a lot of villagers idle. Might even get a Mangonel, which could be a nice spot and pick off. The villagers coming out to repair, I suspect. Or maybe body block. Wait, no, they're not repairing. I think it'd be okay. There's just not enough Ringing Guards in the end. Man-at-Arms at home to deal with this, as well as Jeanne. That's a bit of a calm, but probably a calm before the storm. Guildhall currently toggled to food. Understandably so. Hopefully be able to tie them over to the food transition, the farm transition. Must have recently cashed that in, actually. Holy Wrath ability comes on the Ringing Guards, but they don't really mind too much. Here come the Jeanne's Riders. Going to try and buff this area. There's a couple of Ringing Guards that might chase some of these villagers. Does have wheelbarrows, so they can retreat and run. They're going to fight. Does have textiles after all, I guess. Did lose 1 villager, but kills the rest of them. Of those man-at-arms, and, well, the raid's been halted for now. How's it going, Tuck Dragon? Hope you're doing well in Twitch chat. Hope you've had a good day. But yeah, miniature numbers looking kind of crazy here for Valdemar. And I think with a push coming in soon, it could pose problems for Mariejeanne. Needs a bit more time to escalate the miniature numbers, that's for sure. Siege Workshop has been consecrated as well. 4 mangonels. It's definitely turning into a bit of a siege warfare. 2 trebuchets on the field for Valdemar. Slowly going to be looking to take down that keep. Jeanne just about to ride out on in. Now, I don't think there's actually enough springles here for Mariejeanne. because it's just the same as Valdemar's, but ultimately a couple of missed micro moments, and it can be a big, big difference maker. The great thing is the mangonels, they can focus fire on the springles as well. They do a decent amount of damage, getting greased axles, just to make them move a bit faster. Just got to make sure he's in good position for a first initial engagement. Looks like Valdemar though, buying some time. Just going to be chipping away at that keep, and Marie-Jeanne, I think once that goes down, or, I mean, it doesn't look like there's any sign of her or him repairing it. Does have a decent amount of stone in the bank. That could potentially be used. Yeah, so it looks like Marie-Jeanne is just going to give up that location. Hasn't actually committed to the walls again on the west side. They left them open for now, Valdemar. Start to edge a little bit further forward. This could be the start of it. Once the keep goes down, is moving out. Valdemar, rightly so, 91 military. In fact, he's population capped. So it'd make a lot of sense to move out right about now. No reason to stay at home. Now Marie-Jeanne, about to reach population cap as well. Heading on out. A lot of siege engines. About to take the fight, trying to get a couple of outposts, which probably won't go up by the time the fight's over. Jeanne leading that front line. Man at Arms as well. Divine Restoration comes out, but take a look at the limit tonight. And Vangarian Guards going the west side. Holy Wrath comes out for Jeanne, trying to get as much value as possible. It doesn't really feel like there's much of a meat shield. A lot of the mangonels on the back line kind of exposed. Camel Rider, one of them at least, going around the back. A couple of them. Holy Wrath comes out once again. Does lose the first mangonel. Getting some good shots off. A couple of Ringing Guards tanking that front line with berserking ability. Springles still alive. 3 of them for Valdemar. Make that 2. Make that 1 shortly. But a lot of the Springles gone down. The cavalry rode on in. Valdemar taking a lot of the siege out for Jeanne. But Jeanne is now level 4. Looks like Valdemar's going to win that fight overall. Still 2 mangonels to deal with. Make that 1. The outpost did go up in the end and has garrisoned a lot of those villages. So that's definitely going to be helping this fight. And well, Valdemar won that quite comprehensively. Did lose a lot of villages on that Holy Wrath ability from Jeanne. Nice play there, but Valdemar definitely with the momentum. Now has 2 mangonels of his own. Now he's going to move on out. But another keep to break on through. But now at least Valdemar will have access to gold in the middle. As you can see, he's mining away, sending more villagers to do the same. There's plenty of wood in the bank for Valdemar as well. Maybe he could try and trade that in. Maybe edge towards that Imperial Age himself. Now, if it has got the military advantage and middle position, after taking a good fight like that, you often do have 2 options. You know, going to add more economy, which is not really relevant in this situation because, of course, already at 90 villagers, adding another town center won't really add that much. And so really, you could either start to push and try and keep resources to replenish the army to try and push your way forward, or maybe think about attacking up. I have to see what Valdemar opts for. Let's just see what water level is on. Water level 4 at the moment. So expanding the economy that way could be an option. Just getting that water level 5 potentially. 2 trebuchets now. Still unpacking. Takes out that keep pretty quickly, I have to say. Now, no static defenses in this location. It's got to be careful here, Jeanne. Has got a cannon though, courtesy of being level 4. About to start the engagement. A couple of camel riders leading that line. Backing away for now though. Looks like outposts is the way, with mangonel emplacements. Jeanne perhaps looking to take another engagement. Gotta say, a large commitment to siege for Jeanne, but hasn't really been able to make it work so far. Valdemar has come up with all the right answers. 3 trebuchets. Now gonna make short work of infrastructure if they get close enough. Speaking of getting close, those villagers have to back away because the army from the enemy is getting close. Mangonel emplacement does attack that Jeanne rider. Starts taking the fight. Mangonels deploy. Jeanne heads on in, draws in the champions. Or the riders, in fact, more of them. A lot of ranged units. Javelin throwers working hard. Decent number of man-at-arms, but they're still pretty weak now because a lot of the mangonel placements inside the outpost doing great work. But ultimately, I don't think this is a location that, you know, Jeanne can really push. Has got to find a way to take out the outposts. Doesn't have any trebuchets though. So that could be a tricky one, trying to snipe up mangonel with the springles, but the springles are dangerously far forward. There's no meat shield in front of it. Going to dive on in. Valdemar going to pick off a lot of them. Oh, that's a bad moment there for Jeanne. Loses a lot of those springholes. Man-at-arms do come to the rescue somewhat now. Holy Wrath comes up for Jeanne, but will it be enough? I'm not so sure. 3 mangonels on the backline, but 3 springhorns heading forward for Valdemar, looking to snipe them out. There's a lot of javelin throwers working hard. Man-at-arms numbers starting to dwindle here for Jeanne. If Jeanne loses that front line, a lot of siege is going to go down. The siege might go down anyway, because there are 2 springhorns working hard to get rid of them. Cannon, though, still working hard for Jeanne to try and take down the outpost. Villagers repairing, though. And so it looks like Valdemar going to continue with that momentum, starting to push further forward. Marie-Jeanne backing away to an outpost. Jeanne, though, might get snared by this spearman. It might go down, actually, at this point. Look at try and get Holy Wrath on the back line. Does do it. Manages to get out of there. This could be a big pushback for Marie-Jeanne, though. Numbers looking a little bit terrible for Valdemar, down to 19. But he's killed a handful of villagers and caught up in the villager count himself. Bear in mind, at this point of the game, the Byzantines have a much stronger economy. Sure, the Jeanne d'Arc has, the guild hall, but that doesn't really come into any sort of comparison when you consider there's a water level 4 at the moment. 22% could be even increased further to 26%. If it was to get that water level 5, keep going in the middle, but 3 trebuchets, or at least, yeah, there should be. Those trebuchets are still alive, right? There's one there on the front, starting the siege even before it's built. Bear in mind, buildings actually take more damage if they take hits before they're built, and he cancels it. Doesn't get the full stone reimbursement, though, of course, because he did take a trebuchet hit. Gonna build to keep it a little bit further away. Starting to group again. Does have full population capacity, but we've said that time and time again, and it just feels like Valdemar's army continues to push on forward. Quite a few mangonels for Jeanne, but it's not. We've said that before. It feels like the Varangian guards are getting a lot of value. Jeanne leading the line for Jeanne d'Arc. Possibly can take the engagement, but Valdemar, no real hurry, because I think as the game wears on, with 5 relics, it shouldn't be any sort of problem winning the game out, at least in terms of resource income. Of course, taking fights optimally is going to be a thing. And possibly both players could be thinking about going to the Imperial Age. Valdemar's got plenty of food. And gold coming in too. Getting forward production. I like that, actually, because if he does take a fight in the middle, which is inevitable at this point, reinforcements come in a lot quicker. Marie-Jeanne still has has that setup already kind of rocking and rolling. Try to come in with the west side with the man-at-arms. Limit and I going on the right side to protect the 3 springhorns. A couple of units being brought back to the mangonel, not getting baited in whatsoever. Jeanne trying to move on forward. Man-at-arms, though, might get on top of the mangonels. That could be huge for Jeanne if the mangonels do get down. That's going to be a lot of siege engines gone. In the meantime, Marie-Jeanne's mangonels are nice and safe at the back. Lost 1 mangonel, possibly going to lose a second, possibly going to lose a third, actually, out of all that. Does lose all the mangonels, and maybe Marie-Jeanne might start to push on forward. Jeanne certainly is leading that line, but the numbers aren't looking too healthy. A couple of artillery, Holy Wrath ability comes out, but I think Jeanne, will she be sniped? It'd be close. Nope, she just about gets away with it. Cannon is still working hard for Jeanne. Artillery going to go back to try and defend that position. But Valdemar is starting to make strides on in. Limitanai obviously got a good ability with the shield wall. Villagers coming out to get an outpost, but I think might lose a couple of mangonels here himself. Marie-Jeanne. Lost 1 so far. Yeah, numbers are okay for now. 2 springles remain for Valdemar. And don't forget the mangonel placements on the outpost. It makes it very difficult for Marie-Jeanne to push on further in that position. Now behind all this, it looks like Marie-Jeanne is continuing just with the arbitrator for now. Let's take a look at what's being queued up. Yeah, man-at-arms as well. Try and take advantage of the cheapness with the consecration. Man-at-arms going up against the Varangian guards. The Varangian guards should just do a little bit better. Palatine School. Looks like Imperial Age coming in. It's going to change his mind, actually. Going to go for the Foreign Engineering Company. Interesting. We haven't seen it that all that often, this choice of landmark. Valdemar choosing it today. Foreign Engineering Company will give him the access to the nest of bees, Hui Power, and the Royal Cannons. all with the use of olive oil. And I mean, I like it because obviously it is getting to sort of late game sort of scenarios. Got plenty of olive oil coming in with the relics in the Grand Winery. But also the fact that it's got such a great olive grove transition, and it did have the Grand Winery landmark, so an additional 60% olive oil compared to without it is coming on in. Does still have only water level 4 though. Red Palace comes up from Mariejeanne. Going to be adding more of the emplacements in keeps and town centres. Making it a little bit harder to push on them, but there aren't that many of them at the moment, actually, you got to say. There's one in front of the Red Palace. Trying to protect that gold. Now, I've not actually seen a match on Golden Pit on this map where all the gold has ever been exhausted. It could be that time that we see that, maybe. We're trying to snap at the cannon. It's a risky situation, though, because the cannon absorbs a lot of the fire, 190 HP, and he did lose 2 Springles in that aggression. Plenty of Springles there from Mariejeanne, about to take down that outpost, does so. Valdemar, population cap, as well as Mariejeanne. Both players just holding on for now. Just waiting for all those upgrades, and they're going to be having a big battle soon, I suspect. The calm before the storm, no doubt. Looks like maybe Valdemar might be just a little bit... No, actually, to be fair, it's pretty neck and neck in terms of upgrades coming at the right sort of time. Crossbow stirrups going to be coming up. Attack speed for the arbaletiers would be nice. And additional with the Gambesons, it's going to come down to who has a stronger unit. I feel like the arbaletier is a really nice unit in the late game. Extra melee armor, extra attack speed with crossbow stirrups. But one thing that has to be brought into consideration, it can all change in a blink of an eye when it comes to siege. Speaking of which, those Springles are heading further forward, trying to snipe out the Springles that Valdemar has on the back line. He has a good strong front line with the Varangian Guards, holding against the Man-at-Arms for now. Good number of crossbows for Valdemar. Taking a lot of HP off those Man-at-Arms. Oh, wait, where are the Springles going in for Mariejeanne? Completely out of position, has lost almost all of them. Tried to snipe the ones that Valdemar had, but was led right into the infantry that Valdemar had. Was picked off heavily. That could be a big difference here, because the Springles now start to edge forward, and they'll be happy to do so. There is one cannon, though, they've got to be careful about. Mangonel, 1 goes down so far. Still a decent number of survive. Working on the Limited Eye. Limited Eye brace against the cavalry. Jeanne's riders and Jeanne d'Arc's there. Mangonel still edging further forward. Holy Wrath ability comes out on the crossbows. Gets good damage on them. Mangonel might clear the rest of them up. This is looking a little bit dicey, I gotta say, for Valdemar. Starting to be pushed back with Jeanne on the back line. Uses Holy Wrath on the Springalds. Villagers come back to repair, but not quick enough. Jeanne might go down, though, if she's not careful. Oh, yeah, I mean, Valdemar... Yeah, should get it. She should die. No, 10 HP. 6, 3. Just about gets out of there. I think the Limited Eye chasing. Oh, just one more hit. Doesn't quite manage it in the end. Oh, wait. Riding on in. The Limited Eye changed direction. Now they're going on the villagers for now. Valdemar, though, with a healthy unit number. Constantly cranking out units. Still at 200 population supply. And this is an issue. Mariejeanne hasn't been able to continue the army replenishment. The Limited diving on forward. Might get on top of the siege engines, actually, I've got to say. Only a handful of ranged units protecting them. Loses the Trebuchet, loses the Mangonel. Jeanne finding it hard to save the forces herself. She might go down if she's not careful. Oh, the cannon might go down. This could be GG. Jeanne does die, and well, with the siege behind that, completely exposed. There's a couple of Man-at-Arms there for Jeanne. But it doesn't really feel like enough, and Valdemar's losing a lot of army to the Mangonels. But it does look like, look at that, the siege coming on further forward for Valdemar. Does have the forward production, of course, but the hold is actually still there for Mariejeanne, so it's not quite over just yet. As I say that, though, he's just pumping here, Valdemar, spending everything he's got. I'm not so sure that Mariejeanne has... I mean, what's going on? Doesn't have the production, I think. Just needs more production building, struggling to keep the population supply at 200. That could be the big difference maker here. Struggling on gold as well. Is the guild hall now on gold? It is indeed. Looks like you just cashed in recently. But the big thing is lack of relics, right? The constant stream of gold for Valdemar going to be incredibly important with the Sacred Site, and I think he's got 2 relics outside of the Grand Winery, so good amount of gold coming in. Bear in mind, a lot of these units will be mercenary units. That's a lot of villagers idle there for now. Down to 150 population, approximately, Jeanne. And it's being pushed pretty heavily. Starting to work on the infrastructure. And even without sort of a massive trebuchet, just one. It's got a couple of STBs there, which helps. The damage for the infrastructure really coming out from the torches of the Varangian guards. About to head further forward, but backs away for now. Decent number of man-at-arms for Jeanne. Looking to push that back, but overall military numbers looking a bit dicey. Does have a Rebaldaquin, but that might go down pretty quickly and easily, and that's an expensive unit to lose cheaply. Limit and I tried to chase it down, didn't quite manage it in the end. Spring was still moving forward for Valdemar. The siege micro has been on point for him today, that's for sure. Continues to move north with the Mitanite. Being pushed off of gold a little bit here. This is a problem for Jeanne d'Arc. Yeah, she's really been pushed off of gold. The timing of it is pretty bad because it doesn't really have much of a bank of resources. And STB's firing off. Mitanite going to be protecting that northern part of the entrance to that siege line. And well, that's going to happen anyway. Jeanne riding on in. Uses the Divine Restoration and the Holy Wrath on them, but man-at-arms sniping as many as they possibly can. Mitanite poking and prodding. Villagers coming out as well for Mariejeanne. Trying their best to try and get on top of the siege engines. Does get the most of them. Only one Springle remains. Actually scrapped that. None of them remain. But to be fair, Mariejeanne's Springles might go down as well. Quite likely to. Mitanite should be able to chase that down. And there's a lot of villagers going down there for Mariejeanne. They charged on in to take up the siege. Mitanite have been kept busy taking that out, but losing a lot of forces on the west side. Only a couple of man-at-arms, and Jeanne survives for now. This is a big push here. Valdemar definitely got the unit numbers advantage. He's pumping out units. Plenty of resources in the bank. Same could be said for Mariejeanne, but just hasn't been able to keep up production. This is looking a little bit dicey for Mariejeanne, to say the least. 70 military versus 15. I think the next push might be very hard to hold. Not having any gold. It's really starting to hurt Mariejeanne. Having to rely on non-gold units. And at this stage of the game, that's a problem. Unless you have Mitanite. Incredibly strong late game unit. Adding in some hand cannoneers behind them. That's going to be a devastating army to deal with. Mitanite hand cannoneers. Does have the Red Palace to retreat to, but the Red Palace position means that there's no real safe gold access protected by it. As I say that, looks like the trebuchets are slowly starting to work. In fact, the Hui Hui Pow! God, we haven't seen this in a while, have we? You'd love to see it. Damage on this thing is absolutely immense. Plus 600 versus buildings. Base damage on 75 as well. Palace just about to go down. This could be the last stand for Jeanne. Will Mariejeanne be able to hold on? We'll have to see. Mitanite attacking that front line. Villagers being summoned in by Mariejeanne to try and snipe siege. Trying to go around the right side, but here comes the Divine Restoration for Jeanne. Trying to keep the troops alive as long as possible. Villagers are going to go and try and torch down the Hui Hui Pow. Front line is still pretty healthy with this Mitanite, but they are being chomped to the pieces by those man-at-arms. Villagers torching them out, and he's going to get... Maybe... Wait, Valdemar's going to repair. I don't think he gets it in the end. Oh, he does in the end. Okay, well, he does, but he suffers a lot of damage and a lot of casualties. Villagers probably won't return home to tell the tale. They did what they needed to do, but none survives. And Jeanne's still alive, but again, another wave of Mitanite and hand cannoneers this time. Jeanne used the Holy Wrath ability, not for the first time, of course, to rebuild the coin on the back, and he's got to try and get on top of that if he can. That rebuild can getting so much damage. But again, Mitanite using the shield wall ability. Valdemar, he's holding that gold position. This is the key area. There's so many villagers mining that gold, and that's going to help the army replenishment. But this pushback coming in, Mariejeanne getting a decent mangonel shot. There is only one mangonel at this point. Jeanne riding on in. Man-at-arms numbers looking pretty low, I got to say. Rebaldaquin still alive. Kept alive by the man-at-arms. Mitanite still trying to get a wrap around on the west side. Rebaldaquin getting so much damage. One Springle goes down, possibly a second as well, and a third. Siege engines really starting to plummet here for Mariejeanne. And here's another wave. 2 STBs, more Mitanite. This is looking a bit dicey. Does have a cannon now. But that mangonel pretty exposed. In fact, STB is going to fire on it. Did he get a keep up in the meantime? That's going to be a nice static defense to retreat to, but the numbers looking dire. He's got 0 military, down to 50 population. Went with a bit of a raid on the right side, and this is not looking great at all for Mariejeanne at all. The economy is down, military down to 1 military unit. I think the game's over. There's no way to replenish that army. Valdemar coming in with a bit of a raid on the right side. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Jeanne d'Arc has to tap out. Great victory for Valdemar on Golden Pit. Hope you guys enjoyed this castle game on YouTube. If you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and see you next time.